Too often, people wonder why they are not living the life they dream of, why they are not seeing breakthroughs in their careers, why they are not experiencing deeper fulfillment in their relationships or stronger confidence in themselves. The answer is usually simple because they are putting an average effort and expecting extraordinary results. Life does not work that way. If you want more, you have to give more. If you want to rise above mediocrity, you cannot keep doing the bare minimum and expect to soar like an eagle. You cannot plant seeds of half hearted effort and expect to reap a harvest of abundance. Think about it. When you were in school, if you studied only a little, you might have passed, but you never excelled. So never. In your work today, if you do only enough to keep your job, you might stay employed, but you won't stand out. You won't lead. You won't become the person others look to for inspiration. Average effort may keep you afloat, but it will never allow you to thrive. And deep down, you know you were not created just to survive. You were created to grow, to lead, to inspire, and to become the best version of yourself. Average effort is easy because it does not require sacrifice. It doesn't demand late nights, early mornings, or uncomfortable growth. But that is exactly why it produces average results. The people you admire, the ones who are walking in their purpose, the ones who seem to be living at a higher level, are not there because they got lucky. They are there because they decided to give their all when others gave just enough. They decided to show up fully even when they felt tired, even when no one was watching, even when it would have been easier to quit. The truth is, you cannot cheat the process. You cannot half step and expect whole rewards. If you want to achieve greatness, you must go beyond the bare minimum. You must be willing to put in the work that most people avoid. You must be willing to keep moving when the excitement fades and when the journey feels lonely. That is where transformation happens. In the moments when you refuse to settle for average, when you keep pushing even after you've given what feels like all you have. Look at athletes who dominate their sport. It's not just natural talent, it's relentless effort. It's hours of training that no one else sees. It's discipline to eat, train, and rest in alignment with their goals. Look at entrepreneurs who build empires. They didn't stop when their first idea failed. They didn't fold when people doubted them. They kept showing up, giving their all every single day. Look at leaders who inspire generations. They were not people who settled for comfort zones. They poured their heart, their energy, their passion into something greater than themselves. Now ask yourself, where are you showing up with average effort? Is it in your health, where you eat a little better but never stay consistent? Is it in your work, where you do just enough to get by but never stretch your creativity or leadership? Is it in your personal growth, where you talk about change but never commit to doing the hard work of discipline, learning, or healing? Wherever you are holding back, that is the area of your life that will continue to give you average results. And the longer you accept those results, the more you will train yourself to believe that average is all you are capable of. But that is a lie. Inside of you is untapped potential. There are dreams you haven't lived yet, gifts you haven't fully discovered, and levels of strength you haven't even tested. But you will never access them until you choose to stop giving half of yourself and start giving your all. Extraordinary results require extraordinary effort. If you want to experience breakthroughs, you cannot keep settling for the bare minimum. You must commit to a higher standard for yourself, a standard that says you are worthy of more. And because of that worth, you are going to put in more. The reality is simple. Average effort equals average results. If you want to live an average life, keep doing just enough. But if you want to rise above, if you want to create a life filled with purpose, influence, and impact, you must give your all, not sometimes, not when you feel like it. Every single day, you must decide that you will not settle for average because average was never meant for you. Giving your all is never about the days when everything goes right, when you feel strong, confident, and energized. It is about the days when resistance meets you head on and you feel like you cannot move another step forward. Resistance is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is proof that you are stretching beyond your comfort zone. Every challenge that appears in your life is an opportunity to grow stronger. Setbacks are not punishments, they are training ground. When you choose to keep going despite the pressure, you are building resilience, you are developing inner power, and you are proving to yourself that you are far more capable than you once believed. Think of resistance the way you think of exercise. If you lift weights with no resistance, your muscles will never grow. The strain, the tension, the pressure, that is what breaks down the old and makes way for the new. Life works the same way. Every obstacle, every failure, every disappointment carries within it the power to strengthen you if you refuse to quit. Those who rise to greatness are not those who never stumble, but those who stumble and stand again. They are the ones who refuse to allow difficulty to define them. When you are facing resistance, it is easy to mistake the discomfort for defeat. You begin to hear the voice inside that says, maybe this isn't meant for you. Maybe you don't have what it takes. Maybe it's time to lower your expectations. But the truth is, those thoughts are not signals to quit. They are signals that you are exactly where transformation begins. The mind will always try to protect you from struggle, but growth only comes through it. The resistance you feel today is shaping the strength you will need tomorrow. Consider the stories of those who inspire millions. Their journeys were never without pain. They fought battles that seemed impossible to win, yet in their persistence, they discovered levels of strength and courage they never knew existed. They endured rejection, they endured failure, and they endured seasons of doubt. But through it all, they gave their all. They let resistance mold them into people who could handle the very success they were reaching for. Without resistance, they would not have had the depth, the wisdom, or the resilience that makes them extraordinary today. When you face resistance, it is natural to feel frustrated, to feel that life is unfair, to wonder why the road feels so hard for you. But those very moments are where your character is forged. Anyone can give their best when things are easy, but only those who are committed to growth give their best when everything feels like it is against them. That is what separates average from exceptional. That is what defines the ones who rise to the top and make a lasting impact. The strength you gain from giving your all through resistance cannot be taught in books or speeches. It is lived. It is built when you keep showing up for your goals despite setbacks, when you refuse to let temporary defeats define your permanent future, when you embrace the struggle because you know that pressure is shaping your potential. You may not see it in the moment, but every time you choose persistence over quitting, you are rewriting your story. You are teaching yourself that you can endure, that you can overcome, that you can rise. Life is never about avoiding challenges. It is about deciding who you will become when those challenges appear. Resistance is not here to stop you. It is here to shape you. When you give your all in the face of opposition, you discover strength that was always inside you, waiting to be revealed. You begin to understand that the struggle is not the enemy. It is the pathway to becoming everything you were meant to be. The real test of who you are and what you are becoming is not found when the lights are on you, when the applause is loud, or when people are celebrating your achievements. The real test is found in the quiet moments, the ones no one else sees. It is in those moments of solitude, when you are tired, when you could take the easy way out, when there is no recognition waiting for you, that your character and your future are truly shaped. Consistency when nobody is watching is the secret ingredient that separates the good from the great, the dreamers from the doers, and the ones who wish from the ones who achieve. Anyone can be motivated for a short while. Anyone can push hard when there is excitement, when there is external validation, when there are rewards waiting just around the corner. But that motivation fades. What matters most is what you do when the excitement is gone, when the initial fire has cooled, when the grind feels repetitive and heavy. That is where consistency proves its value. That is where you begin to see that greatness is built in the shadows, not in the spotlight. When you look at the lives of those who accomplish extraordinary things, you will find that their success was not built in a single moment of glory. It was built in daily habits, repeated actions, and a commitment to keep showing up no matter what. The artist who paints a masterpiece has spent countless hours practicing strokes no one admired. The speaker who captivates a crowd has rehearsed words alone in a room hundreds of times. The athlete who stands on the podium has sweated through training sessions where no one was cheering. Consistency in the unseen places always precedes the reward that the world celebrates. It is tempting to only give your best when you know eyes are on you, when you expect recognition or validation. But when you live that way, your growth will always be limited, because true excellence requires a standard that goes beyond what others can see. It requires you to hold yourself accountable even when no one else will. It demands that you refuse to slack off just because no one will know. I say. The truth is, you will know, and every time you choose convenience over consistency, you teach yourself that your goals don't matter as much as your comfort. The small daily choices add up. When you commit to consistent effort in the unseen, you are laying bricks that will eventually form a foundation no storm can destroy. Every practice session, every late night of studying, every morning of discipline, every quiet moment where you decide to keep going instead of quitting, those moments are like seeds planted in the soil. And while no one sees them at first, in time they grow into results that cannot be ignored. The world will only see the harvest, but you will know it was consistency that made it possible. It is easy to underestimate the power of the hidden work. You may feel like no one notices, no one cares, no one acknowledges the hours you are putting in. But you must remember that you are not doing it for approval. You are doing it for transformation. Every repetition, every effort, every consistent action is building something inside you. It is strengthening your discipline, sharpening your skills, and aligning you with the life you desire. The challenge for most people is that they want instant gratification. They want visible results quickly. And when they don't see them, they slow down, they cut corners, they stop showing up with the same energy. But the ones who achieve their dreams are those who keep going, even when the results are not immediate. They trust the process. They understand that every step forward, even the small ones, is progress. They stay consistent not because it is glamorous, but because it is necessary. So much of life is shaped in the hidden places. The choices you make when you are alone matter just as much, if not more, than the choices you make in public. They reveal who you really are. They build the kind of person you are becoming. And the more consistent you are when no one is watching, the more powerful and unshakable you will be when the world finally does take notice. Fear and excuses are some of the most powerful forces that keep people stuck in the same place year after year. They rob dreams before they even have a chance to be born. They silence voices that were meant to speak, and they bury potential under layers of hesitation. Fear whispers that you are not ready, that you are not good enough, that failure is inevitable. Excuses justify why you never try, why you settle for less, why you stay in the comfort of the familiar even though your heart longs for more. Together, fear and excuses create invisible chains that hold people back from stepping into the fullness of who they could become. Everyone feels fear. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who remain stuck is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act in spite of it. Fear tries to protect you by convincing you that the unknown is too risky, that rejection will be unbearable, that mistakes will ruin you. But the reality is that the only thing truly dangerous is allowing fear to control your decisions. Every time you let fear stop you, you train yourself to believe that safety is better than growth, that comfort is better than courage. Slowly, without realizing it, you build a life that feels smaller than the one you were meant to live. Excuses often feel reasonable. They can even sound logical. You tell yourself you don't have the time, you don't have the resources, you don't have the right connections. You convince yourself that the circumstances aren't perfect yet, that you'll start tomorrow, that one day when everything aligns, then you'll finally pursue your dream. But perfection never arrives. Tomorrow never magically becomes easier. Waiting only gives fear more time to grow and excuses more power to control your future. The truth is, people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they let excuses talk them out of consistent effort. Every breakthrough you desire lives on the other side of fear. Every dream you have buried under excuses is waiting for you to take a step forward even while you are trembling. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to move with fear still present. You may not feel ready, you may not feel confident, but the moment you stop letting excuses define your choices, you unlock a new level of strength. Confidence comes after action, not before. The more you act despite fear, the smaller fear becomes. And the more you show up despite excuses, the weaker their grip becomes. Think of all the opportunities you may have already missed because fear or excuses held you back. The conversation you didn't start, the chance you didn't take, the skill you didn't develop, the vision you didn't pursue. Imagine where you would be today if you had moved forward anyway. Imagine the doors that might have opened, the growth you might have experienced, the version of yourself you might already be living as. And now realize that you do not have to keep missing those opportunities. You can choose differently today. You can stop letting fear decide your destiny and stop letting excuses dictate your pace. The truth is, fear and excuses will never disappear. They will always be there waiting to test your resolve, but they do not have to control you. You get to choose whether they keep you chained or whether they become the very signals that tell you it is time to grow. Every time you feel afraid, it means you are stepping into something bigger than yourself. Every time an excuse rises, it means you are being asked to push past your limitations. What looks like resistance is really an invitation to become bolder, stronger, and more courageous than you were yesterday. The people who inspire the world are not those who never doubted themselves, never hesitated, or never struggled with excuses. They are the ones who acknowledged their fear and moved anyway. They were honest about the reasons to quit, but decided that their reasons to keep going were stronger. They traded the comfort of excuses for the power of responsibility. They decided to own their choices, own their future, and own the belief that they could do hard things. That same power is available to you, but it requires a decision. A decision to stop feeding the lies of fear and excuses and start feeding the truth that you are capable, worthy, and equipped to create the life you desire. Inside every person lives a set of gifts, talents, and abilities that are waiting to be fully unlocked, but they do not reveal themselves to those who only give half effort. The extraordinary is not found in doing just enough to get by. The extraordinary is discovered when you go all in, when you push beyond the limits of comfort, when you refuse to hold back what you carry inside. The world does not need another person who hides their light, who silences their voice, or who plays small because they are afraid of failing. The world needs people who will give their all, because it is in that full giving that their gifts rise to the surface and begin to shine. There are countless individuals walking around with dreams still tucked away, with talents they have not dared to express, with potential that has been buried under years of fear, doubt, and hesitation. They know deep down that they are capable of more, but they convince themselves that what they are doing is good enough, that surviving is better than striving, that average is safer than excellent. But gifts cannot flourish in environments of half-hearted effort. Gifts grow in the soil of full commitment. The more you pour yourself into something, the more you begin to discover layers of ability you never realized were within you. Consider the person who learns to play an instrument. If they practice once a week, they may improve slightly, but they will never uncover the depth of music they are truly capable of creating. But if they devote hours of practice, if they give themselves fully to the process, if they commit to learning even when it feels frustrating, suddenly they unlock melodies and skills that seemed unreachable before. The same is true for every area of life. Your career, your health, your relationships, your creativity, your leadership, all of these areas respond to the amount of effort you are willing to give. If you hold back, they remain shallow. If you go all in, they expand and transform. What often holds people back is the belief that their gifts are small or insignificant. They look at others and compare themselves, convincing themselves that someone else is more talented, more skilled, or more worthy of success. But the truth is, no one else carries your exact combination of gifts. No one else has your voice, your perspective, your story, or your energy. Those things are uniquely yours, and they were never meant to be hidden. The tragedy is not in having less talent than someone else. The tragedy is in never giving enough of yourself to discover what you actually have. When you decide to go all in, something shifts. You begin to see possibilities you never saw before. You start to notice doors opening, connections being made, and opportunities unfolding, not because luck suddenly appeared, but because your commitment positioned you to receive them. Giving your all aligns you with the very resources and people that can help your gifts flourish. Life has a way of rewarding those who are fully invested. When you hold back, opportunities pass by unnoticed. When you step forward fully, opportunities begin to meet you where you are. There will always be reasons to play small. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. These voices will try to convince you to dim your light. But when you give your all, you silence those voices, not by ignoring them, but by proving them wrong with action. You discover that you are capable of more than you thought. You learn that your gifts are bigger than your fears. You realize that the best parts of you are revealed when you are brave enough to give fully, even when the outcome is uncertain. Your gifts are not just for you. They are meant to impact others. Someone is waiting for the book you haven't written, the business you haven't started, the song you haven't sung, the idea you haven't shared. Someone's life could be changed by the gift inside you, but they will never see it if you refuse to give your all. Holding back doesn't just cost you, it costs the people who could benefit from your courage. Imagine how different the world would be if the voices, leaders, and innovators we admire had decided to play small. Imagine if they had chosen to hide instead of shine. That is why you must push past the temptation to hold back and step into the fullness of what you have been given. There is nothing more fulfilling than discovering what you are capable of when you stop playing it safe and start giving everything you have. Your gifts are like seeds, and seeds only grow when they are planted deeply and nurtured consistently. You cannot scatter them lightly and expect a harvest. You must go all in. And when you do, you will unlock potential that was waiting for your full commitment. Life is fragile, fleeting, and far shorter than most people want to admit. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and before long, years pass by in a blur. Too many people live as if they will have endless time, as if opportunities will always wait for them, as if dreams can be delayed indefinitely. But the truth is that you only get one life, one chance, one opportunity to make it count. There are no guarantees of tomorrow, no certainty that you will always have another moment to begin. That is why it is so important to give your all right now. Not later, not someday, but today. Regret is one of the heaviest burdens a person can carry, and it usually comes from the chances they did not take, the words they did not speak, the dreams they never pursued. Rarely does regret come from trying and failing. It comes from never trying at all. When you reach the later seasons of your life, you will not look back and wish you had played it safer. You will not wish you had stayed more comfortable. You will not wish you had avoided challenges. You will look back and ask yourself whether you gave everything you had, whether you lived fully, whether you used the gifts and opportunities you were given. Every day you wake up is a chance to write a new page in the story of your life. But if you waste those days by holding back, by settling for less, by living on autopilot, the story you leave behind will not reflect the greatness that was inside you. Your life is meant to be more than routine, more than survival, more than existing. It is meant to be lived with passion, purpose, and relentless effort. You were not created to drift aimlessly. You were created to leave an impact. And the only way to do that is to make the most of the one life you have been given. It is easy to fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect time. You tell yourself you will start when you have more money, more knowledge, more energy, more support. But the perfect time never arrives. The only perfect time is now. If you keep waiting, opportunities will pass, doors will close, and your life will shrink into a pattern of hesitation. Every extraordinary achievement begins with the decision to act in the present, not in some imagined future. Those who change their lives and the lives of others are the ones who choose to rise today, even if they don't feel completely ready. Going all in is not about never resting. It is about never wasting the time you have been entrusted with. It is about choosing each day to live intentionally, to give your best in whatever you are doing, to show up with energy and commitment. When you wake up, you can either coast through the hours or you can seize them with purpose. One choice leads to mediocrity, the other leads to a life of meaning. You only get one chance, so every single day matters. Think about how much potential is lost in the world because people decide to wait. Think about the inventions never created, the books never written, the songs never sung, the businesses never started, the lives never touched, and then realize that the same loss can happen with you if you choose to hold back. You cannot afford to waste your chance. There are people who need your ideas, your strength, your courage, your gifts. The impact you are meant to make is tied to the way you live this one life, and the only way to honor it is to give everything you have while you still can. This is why urgency matters. Not the kind of urgency that creates panic, but the kind that fuels purpose, the kind that reminds you time is precious, that every moment is a gift, that you are not promised another day. When you live with this awareness, you stop wasting energy on trivial things. You stop postponing your dreams. Postponing your dreams. You stop saying someday and start saying today. You start valuing every opportunity, every connection, every chance to grow, because you know that your life is not something to take lightly. One life, one chance. Those words are not meant to scare you, but to awaken you. They are meant to remind you that you are capable of more than drifting through your days, that you have a purpose to fulfill, that the time you have is sacred. When you embrace that truth, you begin to live differently. You begin to give more, love more, risk more, create more. You stop waiting for tomorrow because you understand that tomorrow is not guaranteed. You choose to give your all today because today is the only time you can truly claim as your own.